Hey guys and girls, it's Blackjack with 396 Guitars. We're working on the Taylor acoustic, a really nice one with the oddest of customer complaints. Let's get to work. I'm going to try to explain this to you the best way that I can based on what the customer has relayed to me. Now, I've worked on this guitar before, did a restring and made some minor adjustments, but I pointed out that at the time when I got it, by the way, it's a 724 CE Limited. Very nice instrument. I pointed out to him that at some juncture in this guitar's life, somebody has shaped down the saddle a lot. Although, when I gave it back to him, it plays fine. Until recently, when he changed his playing style or whatever he's doing with it, he noticed an oddity that was occurring. When he capos at the 5th fret, which would be, now I like to capo it right on the fret, but that's me as a tech, but this is what happens. They're all of a sudden dead. Now, as a player, you're going to capo it as close to the fret as you can, but back here, because that way it tends to get in the way. So yeah, we're getting an errant buzzing with his capo. My capo, this is the one that I just carry around in my road bag. It's a chibi. You've seen them. You know what kind they are, right? Let's try to put it in the same position. Not quite as bad. This is the one that I use on my bench here in the shop. Not quite as bad. So out of the 3 capos, this one really gives it a problem. Now, I've taken some measurements. It's as an experiment the other day, I put just a little bit more relief in the neck. If this is where he's going to be living, capoing it, in this position, for the the material and music that he's playing, then we have to make it play like that. He took what I said to heart the last time he was in, which was, I don't know, 3, 4, 5 months ago, and he went and got himself a new Taylor replacement saddle, because this one has just been cut way too low. Now, when I say way too low, you want the break angle where the string comes up out of the peg hole and goes over. There should be a rise and then a clear break angle where the takeoff point heads towards the nut. The high E, B, and G are pretty flat. And even, not so bad on this side, on the bass side, enough that, it's not causing a problem, but all things being equal, I know this is wrong, and it could be affecting what's happening here, capoing at the 5th fret position. Now, oddities of oddities. I've never had a complaint like this, but we're going to delve into it, and we're going to learn together. So the first thing I'm going to do is to experiment. I'm going to loosen the strings that are on it. We're going to eventually put new strings on it and put a new saddle in it, regardless. But I want to know for my own edification, is this being too low here, takeoff points and what have you, affecting the capo position at the 5th fret? We're going to find out. And the way we're going to do that is we're going to loosen all the strings, try to coax the saddle out and put a shim under it to lift that up, and then make all other proper adjustments to get string action and neck relief where it should be, as if we were putting in a new saddle, just to kind of eliminate that as a could be, probably is problem. So this is the way we do that. again, this is a first time for me. I've never heard this kind of complaint. I've never heard this kind of complaint in this configuration. All I'm doing is loosening all the strings so that I can lift them up down here and try to coax that saddle out. Only as an experiment. Is it loose? Is it going to agree with me? I don't know. See, it's so far down in there, I can't even grip it to get it out of there. And that was one of my fears. Yeah, that thing is not going to want to come out. It is so far down in there. It is so far down in there. We may have to take the strings off because I don't want to damage the bridge if I can help it. Of course, you know, we're learning. This is a learning process on this one. I see just a little bit of light there that I might be able to get a pick under. Maybe. If I can coax it up. No. Yeah, that is really down in there. I'm going to try one other thing in the middle where there is some more meat. There we go. Now she's trying to pop up. There we go. Now I should be able to pull it out. Okay. I know there is no shim in there. And what I'm going to do, just as an experiment, mind you, is to put a shim in there, effectively raising the saddle up, which is what we're going to do when we take the new one. We're going to cut this one down to where I want it to be. You can't add material to a saddle. All you can do is put a shim in there. Yeah, it's okay to do that, but he already went to the expense of getting a replacement, and that's what we're going to do eventually. This is just an exercise to see if this is going to maybe get us where we want to be. Come out of there. Get a good shim out of there. Yeah. Yeah. Is it going to agree? I think so. That's it. Just a shim like that. Let's see if it gave us any action. Now we were around above 7/64 on the bass side and right around 5 on the treble side. I can already tell that the saddle is taller. It's not even really as tall as I would want it to be. But we're going to find out if it made a difference. You follow? use these strings that are on it as the donor strings before I open up a really good pack of elixirs and booger around with this process. And that way we got to save those, because this, I may go through this a couple of times. It definitely brought it up, and it brought it up noticeably. It was a pretty thick shim I put in there. If I was to guess, I would say probably about a millimeter, maybe a little bit less than a millimeter, more than a 64th of an inch. The proof is in the pudding, I guess. That is not helping. Let's see what happened here. Did it bring up the string action at all? Most definitely it did. Like, it brought it up way up, especially on the bass side, and the treble side hardly at all. From 7 to 8, that's unacceptable, of course. Not sure why this is doing this. I'm really trying to puzzle this out. I wonder. It may just be a matter of positioning, getting the string action higher to do this. Right on the fret. Yeah, it wants to be right next to the fret. The G is still... I think we need to build a new saddle for it. And, I mean, ideally, right on the fret. It's just deadening it. I can't figure out why. Especially the G. So that experiment failed, because all things being equal, putting the capo in a position where we would normally put it to play there, okay, and play from the 5th fret down, or up, as it were, it is not agreeing. Stand by. I want you to pause. I'm going to pause and get off camera really quickly. I want to take that shim out and try something else. Stand by. Okay, so moving right along, I'm going to illustrate what I discovered. And I had an inkling that this might be the problem. This is just my cheapest capo that I use, as I said, in my road bag. I'm going to place it pretty close to where the fret is. There's no manual adjustment on it. Right? We're going to put his on. And I noticed that it doesn't have as much grip, as much tension. Right? Put his on in pretty much the same position. Now, He's got a really good capo here. I just started to think maybe the tension isn't enough to hold the string on the fret. And miracle of miracles, we added tension. Yeah. And to prove it, mine, I never have it this tight, but this is mine that I've had for 10 years. I never put it that tight, but when I'm testing guitars, I'm always testing up here for neck relief. That's really all I ever use a capo for until now. I'm going to take my capo and take some of the tension off so it just barely grabs the string. It still clicks. Okay, so a couple of things. Yeah, you got to give it some tension, because if we take his and back the tension all the way off, right, it still clamps the string. Okay, add some tension about halfway. See what that does. Still buzzing on the G. Give it another turn. Yahtzee. Okay, so we sorted that out. Now, we're still going to de-string this. We're going to clean the instrument. We're going to, not so much polish the frets and everything, because I did that only a few months ago. But we are going to build a new saddle for this, because that one is just too low. We're going to get that to where my happy place is, where I like the break angle. And then we're going to make all other adjustments accordingly. And we have sorted out why his complaint of, why is it buzzing when I capo at the 5th fret? My goodness. Okay, so that's part one. We learned something. Stand by. I'm going to put you on pause while I de-string and start to build the new saddle. All right, so a couple of things here. I know I'm way over here. I'm trying to get into the video. This is the new saddle. This is the old saddle. So I carefully measured the old saddle with the shim that we experimented with, and we're very, very close to the height that we want, that I'm going to be happy with this way. You have to test fit these over and over and over again to get them to fit. Now, the first measurement, the first test fit is, does it slide into the width of the saddle route? And it's very, very, very tight. It'll fit, but you don't want to jam it down in there, because the next guy down the road that works on this guitar, and it'll probably be me at some juncture, we may need to pull that saddle up and down and either put shim or cut it down. This is the first step. And okay, so we start with 120. That's a little aggressive, but we need to thin it. We need to take it down from the thickness this way. You follow? And what you do is you just get after it. And you'll see the material starts to come off. Why do I do this by hand? Well, I don't always, but I do it by hand to show you. All right, we just took all of that material off. I'll flip it over and do the other side. It's hard to do it this way, but tile, known flat surface, and just go at it. And this one was pretty close. I'm anticipating that it won't take much to get off of there to be able to fit down in there. You take a little off and then you test fit it. And it's already fitting better. So, oh, by the way, yeah, some of you have seen this. take your cuttings off. Go at it again. And all we're doing is trying to thin it out enough to fit easily but snugly in the route in the bridge. A little bit that way, flip it over. Oh, and I wanted to illustrate this. This is the saddle that came from Taylor. You hear the difference? This one's brighter. That's gonna transfer to a cleaner sound. See? Yeah, I like that. We're gonna do one more pass on both sides. Right? Tedious, necessary. And if you don't think you're not taking enough off, don't get overzealous. All of that dust means you took material off of both sides of that saddle. Now it should fit in there nice and loose. Beautiful. Okay. Now, I measured this saddle with the shim that I put in to experiment in the first part of this video, and it's almost, when I tell you almost, it's almost exactly where this one is from Taylor. So I'm going to say Taylor is pretty close, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it just a couple to take it down. And it's the same process to now take it down this way. First we did the width, now we're doing the height. And you do a couple that way and a couple this way. And I didn't even put a mark on this one because I'm so confident in what's going on here and Taylor's quality and their product. And I'm going to tell you that is where I'm going to live there. I'm going to run with that. Now, let's just say we get it all strung up and it still is a little too tall and I need to make an adjustment on the saddle height. We can still loosen the strings, take this out, and go through this process again until I get it exactly where I want. But I'm telling you, the way I'm looking at it and the way I measured, I'm pretty certain, and through a lot of experience, let's just call it what it is. I'm pretty certain that's where we're going to be. Right? Stand by. I'm going to restring it. We'll be right back. All right, kids. So we're all strung up. Let's tune it and start doing our setup. All things being equal, we should be able to use the new saddle that we fabbed, massaged, built, call it what you want, and put that with our regular neck relief, and our string height should come into where we want to be. So the first thing we want to check is our neck relief. And I'm going to tell you what they say it should be. And usually on an acoustic I will eyeball it, but I'm actually going to check it. It wants to be at 2 thousandths at the 8th fret and 4 is loose. So we're going to use 4. And how do we do that? Well, you know, it's always the same thing. We got to get after the truss rod and bring the neck relief up. It's too forward. And that, oh, before we do this, I'm going to tell you where the string action is to show you how that should not need to be adjusted again, although it's possible. It's possible, but I don't think so. I think by adjusting the truss rod, meaning neck relief, getting the neck in a little bit straighter condition should get us to the string height that we want to be at. Now, I'm shooting for around 7/64 and around 5 or 6 over here. And where are we before we adjust the neck? Right at 8 and almost 6. So I know I'm going to straighten this neck a little bit, right? And I'm pretty certain that's a 4 mil. I had it out here the other day. It's not 7, it's 4. I know it's 4. It looks like 7 too. That's it. So, to straighten the neck, we want it right is tight, left is loose. We need to tighten it to straighten the neck and bring it up slightly. Start with a little bit more than 1/8 of a turn. And we're going to retune it. See if it got us anything. It may not have, because it didn't change the tuning of it. Let's just see what it says at the 8th fret. Still a little loose. A little loose. We'll get you there. We'll get you there. That's looking pretty straight. I think I can get just a bit more out of it. Right there. We're going to try that. Let's see where, it went sharp as we put more tension on it. I like that. That sounds nice. Let's see where we're at. I'm just checking neck relief, and I normally don't do this on an acoustic. I look for straightness of the neck, because I could probably come a little bit more, but I'm going to tell you that's probably going to have me right where I want to be. Let's check our string height. It should have come down considerably, right? It is just showing 7/64. Not even showing it. Actually, the 7/64 line has disappeared. And we're right at just above 4, approaching 5. If you're not buzzing open, you're good there. Quality instruments will usually bear that lower action. Now, let's go back to the customer's original concern. Remember, we had tightened this all the way up on the 5th fret, and we were getting open buzzing because he likes to capo here, right? That's regular plucking. Now, if you really want to get aggressive, right? I think we have, there's just a little bit of buzz on the B string. I don't know. You want to be as close to the fret as you can be. And sometimes you'll see guys do this because it might want to buzz over here, not over there. Now watch, the E will probably buzz. Nope. But the A did. You want to be as close to that fret that you're trying to capo as possible. Just the G. We may have to open the neck up just a bit for that, for it to sustain that, which is what he wants to do, right? So let's just give it just a little back. What's that going to do? Yeah, the string height might come up a little bit, but we are already lower than I was aiming for. Try it again. Trial and error. This is a different kind of setup for me. I love it. We're there. G sharp, C sharp, F sharp, B, D sharp, G sharp. I don't know why he's playing in that position, but yeah. I love it. E. Good. Good. Perfect. 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 Yeah. Right? I love it. This is a beautiful instrument. We sorted out his problem. I'm going to call it a success. And part of it was this was too low. The saddle was too low. And I told him that months ago. And he came in, to his credit, and brought me a brand new Taylor replacement saddle. I love it. We still took it down slightly, and we had to, make it fit in the route. But everything is there, and it's doing exactly what it's supposed to do. There is no buzzing with it capoed. Part of the other problem was it needs a certain amount of tension down here. As you shorten that scale up, it needs more tension to hold those strings down to form that open note. Right? We're there. We're golden. I love it. And he also said he was, checking with his tuner. Well, yeah, this is in tune because that would be G, so that's G sharp, right? G sharp. He's there. Could even move it up one. I'll bet it'll work just fine. Yep. A, D, G, C, E, E. Hey. I love it. I love it when a plan comes together. It took a little bit of puzzling out, but we got there. Between, getting the right height saddle in there, and by the customer's own admission, somebody cut that down, and I had to ask them a couple of times, did I do that? Because the old saddle had a little black line right there where somebody had and tried to cut it down. They put a line where they wanted to take it down to. They took it down too far. There has to be just enough brake angle. And when I say just enough, it has to come up and go over, right? Just like when it gets over here, it has to have a brake angle where it goes over the nut and down to the tuner. If that's too obtuse, it'll start to rattle, right? So between putting a new saddle in, restringing it, and getting the neck relief exactly where I want it to be on this instrument, we're there. And yeah, I'm going to continue to check this instrument over the course of the next couple of days because, they'd like to settle. That's just the way I do it. If it needs a little tweaking here and there before I send it back out into the wild, we'll do that. But today, we're done. It's Blackjack with 396 guitars. Got a Taylor, a really nice one with an odd complaint. We took care of it. We had to sort it out, puzzle it out, but we got it done. Anything you need, give me a call. If you dig what I'm doing, like and subscribe.